morning. We are back on this beast. I got a little sidetracked because I had built a chassis for Trent Roberts and I finished it. He came and picked it up yesterday, and so that is out of the shop. I've got some room back in the shop again and I can get back on this thing. I think in the last video I was working on getting the headers in. I was struggling with my gussets that I had already put in. I have since finished the crossover tube. Make no mind to my stainless welding. It's the first time I've welded stainless, and it was a learning experience to say the least. So I've got the crossover tube done. I've got the Y pipe done. I'll go over there and show you. So the Y pipe is done. Both sides merge and go into this long sweeping angle here. That driver's side bank goes in this long sweeping angle and merges in this one pipe. Then I've got this big old muffler, and I wanted a big muffler because I didn't want this thing to be super loud if I was just trail wheeling. So trying to package this muffler in here, it's obviously huge. I'm gonna have to build a heat shield all the way around it for sure. But anyway, before I finish this part up, I want to start working on my seat mounts and figuring out my seat position. Then from there, my pedals, I want to hang my pedals and steering column and steering wheel. So that's what I'm going to be working on now. It's been a couple of months since I've been able to work on this thing, and I'm excited to get back on it. So here we go. Okay, so we have PRP Bravo seats, and these are a hard shell seat, and this is how they mount. They got these two bolts on both sides. I designed a bracket, and this is the first time I just cut it out of some thinner sheet metal. I just want to see if my measurements are correct. Let's see if these bolts line up. So I've got it to where I can swing it on this bracket, and I can already see a problem. My recline position is probably going to be somewhere in there, but I've got it to where I can swing it so I can adjust the recline. The issue with that is going to be this bolstering right here. If I go down to a lower position, that sheet metal is going to have to slide up underneath the seat cover. I don't want it rubbing on there. So we'll see if this fits, and we'll see if the recline position is kind of what I want. I can cut another one and put it in there and just kind of see. And then what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make a quick release seat mount so I can get in there and pull the seat out fast, so I can pull the floor pan out if I need to work on something inside, or God forbid, pull the transmission. But with that being said, I want to be able to adjust the seat position forward and back as well. For racing, you cannot put seat sliders in. So if I do ever plan on racing, if I do ever race this thing, I can't have seat sliders, I don't believe. So it's going to be a quick release seat mount, but I want to be able to adjust the seating position from front to back so that my wife and my daughter can drive the car as well, because they're shorter legged than me, obviously. So anyway, so we'll get this taken apart and see what we can figure out. Well, that actually fits perfect, and I'm able to swing this up so the seat position would be flat, and I can swing this down. But anyway, I was concerned about tucking it up underneath the seat cover, and it's no problem. So I've got plenty of adjustability there, and I think I'm going to end up being a little bit reclined. I don't know if it'll be there or maybe there. These holes are spaced about three-quarters of an inch to an inch apart, so that would be 3 inches declined, or 3 inches reclined. And so now I got to figure out how I'm going to do the mount tabs and how to make it adjustable front to back on the frame. So I'm going to cut another one of these and just stick it in there on some blocks and start looking at things. Okay, so I got the other side test bracket done or cut, and I'm bolted on right now. But what kind of occurred to me is I've kind of got some structure in the wrong place here. I probably need more structure up here, so more steel in front of these holes here and less right here, kind of like what I have here. It's probably overbuilt and overkill. These temp plates are only like 14 gauge, but I'm gonna cut these originally, or the final ones will be cut out of 1/8 inch plate, and I just want to make sure I have plenty of meat in front of there for, you know, the seat belts to take most of the brunt if something slams me forward, but a little bit more meat on the front end of there probably, and a little less right here. Just kind of continue this up right here. All right, well, I got the seat in there. I've got it on just this piece of particle board shelving, and the other side of that shelving, or the other side of the seat's up on top of the transfer case. And I can already tell you that the seat's too far reclined. So those top 2 holes on that bracket, I definitely don't need. I need to pull it down a little bit, and I'll try that just for the sake of demonstration. I'm gonna probably level out that board because it's sitting on top of the transfer case over on the other side, and then change the seat bracket angles a little bit, because I can already tell that thing is way reclined. It's way too far back. So we'll do that real quick and we'll see where. Okay, that looks a little bit better. I just have the front end up by 1 hole, which is probably 3/4 to 1 inch. And it's a little bit crooked because it's high on the inside, but I think that's where it's gonna kind of be. I'm gonna jump in there and see how it feels. Come here, Max. Come here, buddy. What are you doing? You want to be a buggy dog? You want to jump in the buggy with me? All right, so we're in the buggy. This is going to be a compromise. If I'm going to run these headers like this, unless I do custom headers, this is going to be a compromise, because, yeah. Maybe if I go one more up on recline, that'll give me some support under here. I'll go get a helmet and make sure I have head clearance. It's pretty tight in here. But it feels good. It feels pretty good. I think I need to go into the center a little more, because elbow's right here. We'll cut some more brackets and get the other seat in here. One thing I noticed, and I'm going to change it, these window V tubes, they're right in my line of sight. I don't like it. So they're already all welded in too. I'm gonna cut these out, and hopefully I can reuse the same tube, but I'm gonna weld these inward more, which is gonna cause a chain reaction because that's a node right there. So I'm gonna have to gusset that, or cut this out and redo it. There's a lot of work. I hate redoing stuff, but I don't know if I can deal with these tubes being the way they are. This spread on the bottom of these tubes is way too much. It needs to be narrower. And I noticed that when I was building the last chassis. I put them in with this spread, and I got in there and I looked at it and I go, man, I don't know if it's because the other chassis was a 2-inch chassis and these tubes were 1 3/4 inch, but I go, man, those are too wide. They're in the way. So I'm gonna have to change that. But anyway, Now I have to build some structure in here to support the seat mounts. So probably go across here with a tube, figure some stuff out. A lot of figuring and thinking to do. Then on top of that, there'll be a tunnel in here that covers all that. So yeah, probably just gonna have to settle for pedals down here. Steering wheel about right here. I've got the seat as far back as it'll go. I'll make about 2 or 3 positions to move it forward. And yeah, gonna be interesting. Okay, so this is where we're at. We had the seat in here. I adjusted the recline position to where I want it. I've got the seat, it comes over pretty much right here on top of the transfer case. And that's so that the side bolster doesn't hit the bar here. So now what I've got to do is I establish the level it needs to be on top of the transfer case. So now what I got to do is figure out a way to support a bracket that's going to go up this way. So I think what I'm going to do is I've got some 1 inch, actually I think it's 1 1/4 inch tubing. I'm going to go across here with a piece of 1 1/4 inch tube. And then I'll go across here in the front, and then I'll establish my brackets going across here. The main thing is I've got to make everything that I do interior wise in here, as far as structure, I've got to make it removable, because the transmission has to come out and through the side window, either here or here. So it comes out, up, and then through. I could take the transmission out the back, but that's going to be a real pain in the ass with the rear end there. So I'm just thinking of working on this thing in the field. Transmission would have to come out through the window here. So I have to make everything in the flooring removable and easy to remove at that. So I want to make it very efficient to pull the seats out, pull the floorboard out, pull the structure out so that I can get to the transmission and pull it out. And that also goes for the transfer case. The transfer case, if I had a sling and the cherry picker, I mean, I could probably get it up and at least close to the door bar here and be able to lift it up over the door bar. So that's kind of what my thinking is there. And I'm going to get that tubing out. I'll start measuring here and figuring out where this needs to be. Okay, so I've got a piece of 1 1/4 inch tube tacked across there. Pretty sure I'm gonna have to put flanges on it and make it removable, just in case I need to get the transfer case out this way, out the back. What I need to do next is put a tube across here to catch the front end of whatever seat bracket I put across this way through the middle. So the problem is the transmission sits up higher than this frame rail, so I'm going to have to make a tube that kind of comes up and over. And again, that tube's going to have to be removable as well. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to do that. everything's a little tricky. All right, so I got a tube drawn up in BendTech here, and I cut my tube. I've got all the bend directions here. I'm gonna use the old school easy bender that I got from my buddy Jason. I don't have an 1.25" die for the big bender, so this is how I used to build. I built everything with this before, and it's handy. It's got a bunch of different size dies, and anyway, thanks Jason. And I'm going to see if this comes out. I got to lay out the bends on this tube, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully it all comes out right. Okay, well, this is where we're at. The battery on the GoPro died, so no time lapse of me bending this up, but I did have a little trouble in the beginning. I didn't have enough on the end of this tube to get this second bend, and it was I was trying to cheat it, but it didn't work. But anyway, this is where we're at. We've got this on here. Now I've got to trim this back and notch it to fit this frame rail tube here. And what I'm going for is putting it about right here. And then I want it to be level with this tube back here. So we'll see if we can get that done. And then of course, like I said, this has got to be removable. So after I get this tacked in, then I'll start figuring out how to make flanges for these to make them bolt-in removable. All right, here we go. All right, after a bunch of back and forth, I got this tube in. It's a little bit close to the transmission, and I don't really like that. What I need to do is move it up a little bit. And I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and cut it on both ends and add in the flanges. I'm just kind of thinking out loud, but I think I'll cut it like right in here, and I'm going to add in the flanges. And what that'll do is, because the flanges are going to be, the bolt-on flanges are going to be 1/8 inch each, that's going to add height to this tube. And right now it's sitting a little bit, it's a little bit high versus that one, which is, I mean, really I can't go down with this because the transmission's there. Got to go up, which is okay. It's all right. These don't have to be perfectly level. I can compensate for that with the brackets that go in here. So I think that's what I'll do, because if I weld this tube in and try to cut it later, I've got transmission and exhaust and everything all in the way. It'll be a lot easier to just go ahead and build flanges for this tube right on the bench. So I think we'll go ahead and do that. All right, so I got my tube flanges cut. I cut the ends of the tube off. I've got these coped ends that are going to go on the outside. I'm going to go ahead and tack them in. And then I will bolt the flanges on, take them over there, and just check for fitment. Okay, well, I got these flanges welded up. I'm going to let them cool for a while. They're pretty hot. This is not the ideal way to do this. I'm kind of doing it the hard way, but because the transmission and the transfer case and the exhaust is in the way, this is the way I'm doing it. Really what you should do is weld the tube in and then cut it and then add the flanges in place. Makes it a lot easier, makes for getting your rotation right, but I'm doing it the hard way because there's stuff in the way. So okay, so I got these tubes cleaned up, ready to weld to, but I was thinking, while those other tubes with the flanges on them cool down, I better hook up my shifter linkage and make sure that that is not going to interfere with the shifter linkage at all. That would be a problem. So the shifter for the Atlas, I need to make sure it's not going to be in the way of that. Okay, so this is what I got. I ended up notching this tube quite a bit. And the reason being is because I know not only did I need to clear this right here, but I needed to clear this shift linkage over here. These shifters are offset. One sits high and one sits low. As far as I can tell, they're the same length. So the high one is over on this side, and the linkage that goes from the shift rod out to here sits really high. So that's why I needed to notch this tube. So now this tube kind of looks like Swiss cheese. And so I'm going to sand this smooth, and then I'm going to come in here and fill this in with 1/8" plate. There's not a whole lot else I could do. It should be plenty strong still after I get it filled in. All right, so we got this all cleaned up, and I cut this little piece of 1/8" flat bar to the width I need. Now I'm going to go over there to the little press brake and do some bump bending and see if I can get it sort of shaped in this the radius in here. Okay, this is what we got. We got our tube with our big old gouge in it, and then we got our little filler piece. I was able to bump bend the ends. I ended up being a little bit too long, so I cut it in the middle, and I cut a section that was a little bit too big. So I welded that back up, and I'll clean all that up with the drum sander or the belt sander. So here we go. All right, well, there we go. I put enough time into this. Got it all cleaned up. It's gonna work for what we're It's gonna work for what I need. It's still pretty warm. I managed to keep the tube pretty straight, I think. I clamped it down when I was welding, so. Anyway, that's gonna do it for today. Everybody, thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.